Well, hello again, and welcome again to another episode of Down to Earth but Heavenly Minded. And I'm your host, Risch, and you're listening to Internet Radio. And today we're going to continue on in the book of Joshua, and we're going to be in chapter 11 today. So, with that said, let us just start our lesson. The southern Palestine campaign is now over. Joshua returned to Gilgal in chapter 10, verse 43. Okay, verses 1 through 5. The gathering of Israel's enemies. And Jabin is the leader. The name means intelligent. 1. Note the number of many people, even as the sands that is upon the seashore, for multitudes. 2. The equipment, horses and chariots, were very many. The Israelites were no match for their enemy. Verse 6. The Lord said, Be not afraid because of them, etc. Consider now. Let's consider this. Ecclesiastes 9:11. The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. And Zechariah 4:6. Not the mighty, nor the power, but by my Spirit, said the Lord of hosts. And Psalms 91. The place of security, secret place, shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. The opposition to Israel by Jabin and the cohorts is a picture of the devil's enemies against the spiritual believer. Well, Ephesians 6:12, and this is what it says. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the power, against the world rulers of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenlies. Verse 6, the Lord's reaction to the formidable group. Today, or tomorrow, about this time, I will deliver them up all slain. We cannot really estimate or imagine the power of God which is at our disposal. He is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we are able to ask or think, according to the power which worketh within us, Ephesians 3:20. Well, greater is he who is in you than he that is in the world. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, Philippians 4:18. This force was by far greater than had been assembled against them. It came after they had been in the land a long time. The longer they were in the land, the greater the opposition. This is the roaring lion aspect of Satan's attack. 1 Peter 5:8 says this, Be sober and alert. Your enemy, the devil, is like a roaring lion, is on the prowl looking for someone to devour. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. Verse 7, Joshua took the initiative and launched a sudden attack upon the enemy. He took them by surprise. Verse 8, the Lord delivered them into the hands of Israel. Verse 9, Joshua's secret of success is obedience to God's commandments. He showed no quarter and expected none. He did not compromise with his enemies. He destroyed them. The secret of the success of our spiritual warfare will be in our uncompromising attitude towards our spiritual enemies. It took Israel 7 years to conquer the land. Caleb was 40 years old when Moses sent him as a spy into the land back in 14:7. According to Joshua, he's now 85 years old, 14:10. 40 years old plus 38 wandering equals 78 years. 78 years from 85 leaves 7 years. This was the time it took to conquer the land. Verse 20, when the spies saw the Aconites, they were afraid. Read Numbers 13:28 through 33. The Anakites were giants. They lived in caves and fortresses in the mountains. The nation that died in the wilderness were afraid of them. They would not go into the land. They were still there, as numerous and strong as ever. Despite this, the new nation under God assailed the strongholds and defeated them. Verse 22, they were Aconites in Gaza, Gath, and the Astrodon. And 1 Samuel 17:4 tells us that Goliath was a Gath. Application. Now, Satan pains and attempt to hinder and destroy our spiritual progress and never lessens. In fact, they increase. Victory can only be had by abandoning fleshly means of warfare and putting ourselves in the hands of God. To accomplish this, we must know God's will, then to obey it. If God is for us, who can be against us? And that's so true. The end.